matter if you're using ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Copilot, the response that you get, the quality of the answer that you get is dependent upon the quality of the prompt that you type. I'm going to give you 2 acronyms that you can use. Choose the one that resonates most with you. So the first is a craft prompt, okay? Whenever I'm using a craft prompt, I'm going to first give the context. Why am I asking this question? Imagine if you are setting a play. Here you are creating the scene. Where am I? Then I'm going to clarify the role. What is the role that I want to play, that I want ChatGPT to play in this question? I might have the same action step, the same question, but if I'm asking someone to act as a HR consultant versus a CHRO versus a recruiter, I'm going to get 3 different types of answers, even though those are similar jobs. So be very specific here. The next part in the craft prompts is this A, that's your action steps. This is the task. What do you want it to actually do? And then we're going to clarify the format. Do I want this in a table? Do I want this in bullets? And then the test. So test could also be constraints. So what's the tone I want to use, the word count? There might be specific words that I want to avoid or I want to be mindful of within these tests. If you want an answer, you're going to get an answer. But if you're not asking the right question, then that answer may not be the solution that you seek. So we have to first follow this model of creating a real detailed prompt. Now, if you say, Amber, craft, that's not really the way that my mind it works. I think about the role first or the format first. Know that the order does not matter. It doesn't really matter. It's the content within the prompt. Okay, so if you want to write it in a different order, that's okay. This is what this looks like in application. So the context is that a candidate has completed a skills assessment but is not moving forward in the process. Here's the role. Here you have an HR coordinator providing candidate communication. The action step. Keep in mind, it is typical for the prompter to only write the action step and miss the CR and the FT. So the action step is write a short, respectful email giving constructive feedback and encouraging them to reapply in the future. Now we're going to give a format. Write it in short sentences. We don't need to be long-winded here. And then I'm going to give the test. Keep it under 150 words. We're going to use positive framing here, and we want to avoid legal risk, right? I want to not reference any protected characteristics. It's not relevant to the feedback. It wasn't in consideration for why the person was not chosen. It was a skills assessment. So we want to move forward, okay? I told you I was going to give you 2 prompt examples. This is the second example. So the first was craft. The second is this prompt engineering, this prompt engineering prompt, okay? So here we start with the role, okay? You are a HR executive. You are an administrative assistant. You are an executive assistant. So clarify the role and then move into the context. Okay, so we start with the role, then the context. Then I give the task, and then the rules is the format and the test combined. Okay, so that's going to be both of those factors at the same time. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, it's just whichever resonates better with you. So this is what this looks like in this format. First you have the role, you're an HR coordinator providing candidate communication, the context, then you give about the skills assessment. Then I give the task, right, an email giving constructive feedback, and you can see here in the rules, I took both the format and the test and combined them together, okay? So what I actually do is I have written out role, context, task, and rules, and I have it right next to my computer so that whenever I am typing my prompt, I can do a nice mental checklist. Okay, have I clarified the role? Have I clarified the context, the task, and the rules? Okay? Studies have shown time and again that you provide more information by speaking rather than typing. That's because it is more slightly more cognitive work to type out all of the words that you're going to say versus actually saying them. So if you have a longer prompt, let's say there's a lot of context, it's a complex role, you have a significant amount of rules or format qualifications that you want to give, I encourage you on the bottom right-hand corner of your ChatGPT, click on the microphone. Whenever you click on the microphone, you can talk to ChatGPT as if it were an individual in your office. Okay? Describe, and then from there, I go through my prompt engineer. I describe the role in detail. I describe the action in detail. I describe the rules in detail. And after I've said all that I want to say, I'm going to click on the microphone again, and it will take a moment to transcribe all of the words that I have communicated. It does not submit the words yet. It will pause and give you time to read through what it has interpreted you saying. So let's say you accidentally you said sensitive information, personal information that you don't want included in that prompt, you can take that out. Or if you forgot to add information and you want to expand on those details, you can add that then also. So it's going to give you a moment for review, then we click submit. Okay, so I do encourage you to use that microphone tool, especially if you have a lot of information, treat it like a person, and verbally process your question. Okay, so again, this is what this looks like. You're an HR recruiter with writing inclusive job descriptions. We have the context of a mid-level software engineer in Berlin. We want to draft a job description under 150 words, and I wrote this one out specifically to call out the rules I put here is to avoid jargon. Use at least 3 role-specific keywords, and then I gave what the keywords are. I want to ensure gender-neutral wording. There have been several companies that are using ChatGPT to review and revise their job descriptions to be more inclusive, to be more specific. And then I see what I put here was to write at an 8th grade reading level. ChatGPT will naturally write at about a 9th or 10th grade level. So if you want to have that lowered, you need to call that out, okay? So this is what this prompt engineer looks like. I want to pause and see if there's any questions on the prompt engineer side. Again, both of these work. The order doesn't matter near as much as the content. Okay, so you might be saying, Amber, that's really nice, but that can take some time if you do that with every single prompt. Sometimes I come back multiple times a day, several days a week, and I have the same situation. I'm always doing social media conversations. I'm drafting letters. I'm have repeated tasks, repeated regions of the world that I'm working in that I want to do over and over again. So you're telling me I have to do these craft prompts each and every time? Not necessarily. If you have at least the first level, the basic paid version of ChatGPT, you have an opportunity to create GPTs, okay? I'm curious, go ahead and use your hand raise or a green check mark if you're currently creating GPTs. Okay, I'm seeing one hand. Okay, perfect. Then we're going to go ahead and look at how to do this. I'm going to give you some specific tools, okay? I'm wondering if I can actually share. I have this in screenshots, but I'd love to share it as in real life. So let me first share a couple of reasons why I might use a GPT, okay? If I have a repeated task that I do over and over again, I was working with someone just yesterday within our team that does a lot of proposals. So we created a proposal GPT. So that's a repeated task. We also have specific industries and regions that we work within that we want our messaging to be culturally considerate, culturally compliant. So we have GPTs to help us with our messaging. I also might have some specific ones to help me with challenges, right? I have a challenge that's coming back over and over again, that there's some nuances each time. I can create a GPT to help me with that, okay? So all of these are reasons why I might create a GPT. I am curious, so again, I want to make this specific to you. Go ahead and somebody put in the chat why a GPT that they would like to create. Again, a challenge that they are facing. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you can see it this way. Okay. I'm not seeing anything, so I want to make sure everyone can see my screen here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just choose one. We're going to do one for social media, okay? Or we'll do one for writing communications, right? So I'm going to click Explore GPTs. That's here on the right-hand side. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Create. Okay, so let me close the sidebar. I'm going to go ahead and click Create. And this is a blank page. So I'm going to put here, I want to create a GPT that helps with clear client communication for the Pathways conference in Berlin this May. So now I'm going to give some more. I can be as detailed as I want here. I want it to sound friendly and professional for executives. Be clear and succinct. Okay. Again, I can be as detailed as I want here. Okay, didn't spell that right. Oops, there you go. So here I'm going to have it think about this. If you have at least the basic paid version, if you look here, you get to choose how long it actually thinks. Obviously, it has auto, where that's your normal amount of thinking. You can do instant answers right away. I generally default to a longer thinking because it does give some better answers. It does take a little bit longer, so you're going to practice some patience here for this one. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can do that throughout any of your ChatGPT prompts. This one, we are going to move to auto just for the sake of this webinar, and so that we can go a little bit faster here. So it's going to be updating my GPT. Now, keep in mind what I'm going to do is create an actual profile for this. So the name it's suggesting here is a Pathways Conference Comms Assistant. Oh, that's direct, but it's kind of a boring name. I want to give it more of a personality. So I'm going to say, let's name this GPT Patty the Pathways Conference Pro, right? And let's make her a swan, right? We can do whatever we want, right? So this gives it more of a personality, and I'll show you why I do this in just a moment. So it's going to come up for a minute. It's going to think about, okay, what do I want this to look like? is going to be the personality. So it's generating a profile picture. Again, I have this for extended thinking, so let me change this to standard just for the purposes of our time today. Again, if you do have the patience or you're asking more complicated questions, then I'm going to do that. So here we have nice Patty, the Pathways Conference Pro. This is what this looks like. Do you want this pop art, right? So you can customize this as much as you want. Now, the thing I want about Patty is I want her to understand some more about our company. So I'm going to click here. Say, I want Patty to understand the conference guidelines and Pathways values. Okay. Actually, here, let me do it this way. So this is what Patty is. Let me preview this. So I'm going to say, write a customer communication for someone who just bought a ticket to the Pathways conference. Okay, so let's see how Patty actually communicates. Okay. Thank you for registering. Here's what to expect. Okay. This sounds nice, but I want to tailor it even more. Okay? And it gives me some suggestions here. But one thing I'm really cognizant about is I want Patty to understand my, why is it not loading here? Might take a minute. I wanted to understand my company's values, our mission, understand the conference a little bit better. And so I could type all of that here into the chat. But I can also click on Add Files, and what should pop up is a way for you to click on the files that you want to upload. So what we do as a practice is we upload our company's values, mission, vision, ethics into every single GPT that we create. So there is consistency. We talk about some of the ethics, the legality. What we're doing is we're creating those boundaries and those guidelines within the actual GPT that we have. It looks like for some reason that's not coming up for the purpose of this demo, but it will come up for you to create, okay? And again, here's the dictate button if you want to do that. So it's not going to show for now, but let me say I want a shorter receipt style. So show me, I'm going to say, always show me at least 2 options that I can choose from. One that is more friendly and another that is more professional. Okay? And so the reason why we create this GPT is all of this training goes directly into this specific GPT. Okay? This is going to be different than the GPT I create for data analytics. Okay? All right, so this looks good. I like this. This one's a little bit more professional. This one's more exciting and friendly. Okay, this looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Create. If your team has the team version of ChatGPT, so you have a business account or a workplace account, I can actually share this with other people within my team. So I might share that with Erica. I'm not going to do that right now because this is a demo. Okay? The access might be invite only, or I can create something for the entire team, or something that anyone in the company can access. Let me give you examples on why I might do that. if there are several people working on our Pathways conference communication, we want to have consistency in the language, the verbiage that we're using. So this helps mitigate some of that risk of everyone in your team who has trained their GPTs to be different. We want to have consistency in this messaging. We're all using this in helping to build up this GPT. Okay, so I can share this. Okay, you can also make it public, so anyone who has the link can move forward. Okay. All right. Now, let's just say for this one, because this is a demo, anyone can have this. All right, invite only. Now I can view my GPT. Okay. I can see all of my GPTs here on the left-hand side, right? So you have all of your GPTs. You can also click Explore GPTs, and you can create, you can see the other GPTs that others have already made, right? So someone's already made a data analyst. Someone's already made a professional writing coach. So you can take some of these and build upon them. Okay, I typically get questions at this point, so I want to pause, see if there's any questions here. Okay, so let me go ahead and move forward here. This is screenshots of everything that we just did, uploading the files. So this is a question that I do typically get. I'm going to give you the short answer and the caveats that come with it. So a common question I get is, Amber, this is a great GPT. I wish I could integrate this into my HRAS or into my HES. Can I integrate my GPTs into third-party platforms? The short answer is yes. In most cases, if it's compatible with the platform and with ChatGPT, in most cases that is a possibility. So what you do is you take the API key and you integrate that. We're not going to go through how to do that today, and this is why. Before you integrate any GPT into a third-party platform, you need to have a conversation with your legal team. You need to have a conversation with your cybersecurity, your CIO, and you need to have a conversation with operations. Okay? So whenever this is done well, it can be transformational in a good way. But what you want to make sure is that you're not putting your company at risk for unintentionally divulging sensitive information, getting you in legal challenges, in cybersecurity challenges, or in an operations challenge. So you need to have at least 3 conversations to make sure that that is being integrated well and in a safe way. So that's a typical question that I get. The short answer is yes, it is possible with the conversations of other people in your company. Okay? All right. So yes, we've already talked about some of this. If you want to go in and edit your GPT at any point in time, you click on the pencil and continue to train it. Okay, I'm still not seeing any questions here, so I think I've covered that part clearly. Okay, sounds good. So again, this is what this looks like. I made this one just as an example to show how detailed I can make this. Obviously, I didn't want to go into this breadth of details for the demo, but this is just to show you. I was giving lexical choices, so I want it to be informal, straightforward, the syntax structure, the paragraph length, okay? The tone, the pacing. So I'm giving that level of information. Here I'm even giving the Flesch reading score and saying, hey, you can use jargon where relevant. I'm giving very specific insights. And so this is the example that I have here of me using the default, so just a regular ChatGPT versus my modified GPT. Here on the left-hand side, we can clearly, off the bat, see that this is written by a machine, right? It has the emojis on the top. It's written at a higher level, and it has a machine feel to it. Versus here on the right-hand side, it says, hey, I'm happy to share that I started a new role at Green Global. It's written at a more approachable style, and it just feels more human. So this is what this looks like over time. Okay, I'm seeing a question here. Can you use ChatGPT when doing recruiting research along with LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is putting in some of their own AI capabilities within that platform. So LinkedIn is tricky because they do have, I'm assuming if you're using LinkedIn to do recruiting research, you have the paid version of LinkedIn. So because it's behind a paywall, that could cause some issues with your LinkedIn account. Yeah, so could it be possible? I'll be honest, I haven't tried it. I would be cautious to do that with LinkedIn because that could cause you some access issues because it's behind a paywall. Yeah, that's a good question. LinkedIn, I know, is actively building out their AI capabilities within that platform. Good question. Okay. Before we move forward to the next tool, Insight. We went through that pretty fast on how to create your own personal GPTs. Okay, we're good to move forward then. Perfect. So another common way that you can use, this is more AI that's complemented with ChatGPT, is helping to transcribe some of your meetings. So just like my response with LinkedIn, there are AI capabilities being built into platforms and tools that you're probably already paying for. So we've even experienced this where some things that we were paying for a separate service now are a part of existing platforms. For example, Microsoft Teams now has meeting transcription options. They added that really upgraded that a few months ago. Otter AI is a great tool. Fireflies, Calendly. You don't need all of these. Choose one. Experiment with one. Most of these, several of these have a free or a basic paid option. So this is not a huge investment. What it does is it helps to actually transcribe the meetings that you have. So I told you that Microsoft Teams has recently upgraded their transcription options. If you click on more in the upper right-hand corner, click on record and transcribe, and then start transcription, it can help take the meeting minutes of your conversations. Now, that's nice, okay? That's level one of using AI to help you in a meeting. Let's go a step further. In almost all of these platforms, I haven't checked with Fireflies to see if they've added it yet. If not, I'm sure it's coming. But with Otter, Calendly, Microsoft Teams, they all have, this slide is missing, they all have a option to show how much each person has contributed to the meeting. Right? So they have an option to show how much each person has contributed to the meeting. Now, why is that important? Why would I bring that up? We have experienced this being a powerful tool for coaching. Let's say we have a brainstorming conversation and you have two people that have overtaken the entire conversation, or you have a person that has not spoken at all, or they've only spoken 5% out of the entire hour. This is a great cue for us to say, maybe we need to be intentional to ask this person to share their insights or share their opinions. Let me share it this way because this is really nice to visualize. We've worked with several companies that what we found is, here, let me do it this way so you can see what this looks like. Okay. So this is for a storyboard feedback, as you can see here. I spoke 40%, Mindy spoke 49%, Camille spoke 10%. Camille was an observer for this meeting, so this makes sense. We've worked with several companies that we have found within these types of tools that the manager performing the interviews were so excited about the job, they were excited about the company, that they were talking 60, 70, we had one that spoke 80% of the interview time. And this was powerful because the manager or the hiring professional was speaking so much, but the candidate was not sharing their insight. And so this actually impacted the quality of the interview, the quality of the insights, the quality of the hire, and it gave a good tool for us to coach managers to ask better questions, to pause and listen more, to look at how we're building up our actual meeting, the way we're running meetings. Okay. So this is not ChatGPT specifically, but one thing that we have done is taken some of these outlines that we're finding, again, through, you can transcribe through Google Meets meetings, through Teams meetings, through Zoom meetings, all of these I can take the transcriptions and ask for speaker breakdowns, ask for speaker insights, and how to improve actual meeting times. This goes beyond just taking notes and into actual strategy, okay? On the other end, so that's people speaking, let's look at it from this end. There are several companies, especially if you're in a 24-hour operation, that using chatbots, not just AI chatbots, but generative AI chatbots to help clarify questions about what time is my interview, what time is the meeting, who am I meeting with, where is the meeting, when is my start date, what information is still missing. All of that is emails and calls that we get in HR, right? When does my benefits change over? When does open enrollment start? All of these can be answered in an FAQ if they are generic like that. So when does open enrollment start? That's more of a generic question. If the question is, what time is my interview? Who am I meeting with? And where should I go? That is a place for Maya or Paradox Olivia to help answer some of those questions. Again, that one is a paid service, so you have to look at the ROI for your team. It is something I encourage you to consider. Okay? All right, just about 5 more minutes here. We have 15 minutes here. Okay? All right, so one of the most common things that we see in our 6-week program is we start learning all of these different tools. We're creating our own GPTs. We're asking better prompts, and we want to really be strategic in where we are using AI. Where are we prioritizing our AI? So we have to look at the overall map. Where are we in the actual process? This is a story we've heard over and over and over again. One big thing we're seeing in HR specifically is not only is there several people in this webinar today learning about how to use AI in the admin side, there are webinars going on right now for candidates looking for jobs on how to use AI to find those jobs, fill out the applications, and send them. So from the recruiter standpoint, you have vacancies that used to get 20 applications per vacancy. Now they're getting hundreds of applications per vacancy. It's a bot that's finding the jobs, filling out the applications, sending them on. And so we're seeing this challenge. The knee-jerk reaction, and what we've seen in companies then, is to then implement the AI tool to help vet through the applications very quickly. And that is somewhat effective. But what we actually do is zoom out and say, where is the actual bottleneck? Where is the pain point originating? We're feeling the pain in receiving hundreds of applications where we used to receive dozens. But the first question should be, why are we getting hundreds and hundreds of applications here? And the reason being is the job description, the job application was written in a way that was vague enough that many chatbots found it to be a suitable match. And so what we've, again, really encouraged is using ChatGPT to focus your job descriptions to your employer brand, to be more clear, to really highlight what the job is and is not, and it allows the candidate to opt in or out earlier in the process instead of going through the process of filling out the application and then getting the automatic reject. We're helping to give informed vetting information on the front end. Okay, so that's a quick example of what mapping this current process looks like. So AI can and very much could be used in helping to vet applications. But the first place that we wanted to look was, why are we getting this many applications to begin with? Right? So that's where we look at mapping out the process. So I encourage you to, again, map out your process. There are some tools like Lucidchart and like Miro, that will help you to outline what is this step-by-step process that we have. And this could be anything from sending out newsletters to getting your onboarding paperwork out, scheduling your meetings. All of that information can be here. Okay. Hold on, I'm seeing a couple of questions. Can you show us how to take that data? Oh, hold on, I'm seeing a couple of questions. I'm so sorry, I just saw several questions come in, so let me try and okay. The first question I'm seeing here is, how do I choose between Chat, Gemini, or Copilot? I told you at the beginning, all of these tools do have different strengths. Honestly, one thing I've done is given the situation to ChatGPT or to Gemini, Copilot, and said, hey, which is going to be the better tool? Sometimes you do have to A/B test. So if I'm not liking the answers I get with Chat, I go into Gemini. If you send me a message afterwards, we have a cheat sheet of the strengths of all of the top different GPT equivalent tools. So this is better for data analytics. This is better for large amounts of information. But yeah, the reality is that there has to be some A/B testing to create an expense tracker. To create an expense tracker, if you have the paid version, this would be my recommendation. If your company has the paid version of Copilot and you're wanting to create an expense tracker, especially within like a Excel spreadsheet, Copilot is really on top of the game. So that I would not recommend that if you don't have, if you're just using generic Copilot. But if you have the paid version with an Excel 365, they have some really sophisticated, easy, low-code, no-code ways to create expense trackers. So that would be my recommendation there. Okay. What would you use specifically for recruiting research along with LinkedIn? LinkedIn does have talent insight reports. They have talent insight searches that you can do. So I would use the LinkedIn Talent Insights tools that are embedded within the platform. The second tool that I would use is ChatGPT. Gemini and Copilot are good. I personally have found better, more comprehensive results with ChatGPT for specific recruiting research. Now, what I do there, remember how I showed you how I put it from the auto thinking to the deep thinking? That's what I move it to. If I just do it on auto, it doesn't really have a competitive advantage. But if I put it onto the deeper thinking, honestly, that thinking might take 7 or 8 minutes. It does take some time, but the overall result I have found to be better. Yes. Okay, sorry. These are fantastic questions, so I want to make sure I get to these. Can you show us how to take data and put it into a chart using chat? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay, let me, Shelly, let me just get to this last point, and then I can absolutely show you how to do that. So I want to give you this last point, and then Shelly, I'm going to answer your question here, okay? So one of the biggest things that we see with using these different tools, so analyzing the different pain points, the different inefficiencies, is whenever you're having these conversations, you're including several people. This is generally not just a one-person conversation. And so, as we're identifying these AI integration points, we're putting this into the company, we found that operations, marketing, tech, HR, we all have been given a large new vocabulary around AI and have not taken a lot of time to identify the definitions of these words. So do take time. If you hear someone talking about machine learning or talking about generative AI or talking about predictive analytics, take a moment and say, whenever you say natural language processing, what is the context that you mean, okay? Another tool that is constantly updated is Stack. This is a free tool, and they don't take any promotion, so you don't have someone trying to promote their platform above anyone else. It is only user voted. And so it looks like this. If you say, Amber, what is a tool I can use for payroll, for global employment, for talent management? This is a fantastic catch-all tool that I would recommend. That I would recommend you using. I've used several of these tools that are really powerful. Okay. All right. Yes, all of this is covered. Again, these are just highlights from a larger 6-week program. So if you want some more of that, please come and talk to me later. We're going to go ahead and skip this test for this fun exam for today because I want to get to Shelly's question. So Shelly, what I'm going to do is, let me go to ChatGPT here, and let me see, I'm going to take, I'm finding a chart here. Okay, this is a Excel spreadsheet, okay? So here's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to take the entire Excel spreadsheet. Actually, what you're wanting to do is to take a bunch of data and put it into a chart. So let me do it this way. This is a new course that we're coming up with for a new manager onboarding. And so in this, it's a whole lot of descriptions of types, things that we want to include, different learning objectives. So I'm going to say I want to do this. Act as a data analyst I'm going to say data creator, data spreadsheet creator, right? Whatever that is, okay? Read the data in this document and create 4 columns with the topic, learning objective, estimated time, allotment, and allotment wrong. And key takeaways. Right. And so it's gonna, let me move this to, just standard time. And taking a moment to upload here. But it will, I want to be mindful of your time here. Sure it uploads correctly. There it goes. So it's going to take a moment and read the documents. I want to make sure this is the actual question you're asking. Create an expense tracker. Okay, yes, and I'm seeing. So I'm going to put this in here. So it's going to take this, put it into a spreadsheet, but then the next level is I'm going to ask it to analyze this data. So it's taking just a minute. It's going to, and you can see the way that it's reading this. Now, one thing that I didn't do here, and this was in my haste, is notice I did not give the format, right? Create 4 columns. That's all I did. I didn't give any of the tests, the format that I really wanted to use here. Okay, but this is how I create this. Apologize, it's taking a little bit of time here. I might see if I can do this on a different one I've already done. But yeah, it's being see, and here it's going next level, and that's partly because I put it. Let's just make this instant, just so it will give a faster answer here. This does make a significant difference. Now there are legacy models that you can use. You can see this took 2 minutes to do, so that is a faster, it's a longer thinking time. Okay. While this is thinking, and we're going to finish this up, I want to be mindful of your time. So I'm going to end with this final story. We have talked about a lot of tools today. I hope you've gotten some value out of this. These are little pivots that can make a significant difference. Sometimes whenever I leave a session like this, I can be energized, excited, a little overwhelmed as well. And I'm reminded of one of the youngest teams that I used to coach in soccer. I had a player that was so excited for his first day of soccer. He came running out onto the field. He was 6 years old, and he began yelling, "Pass, pass, pass!" And I noticed that he was yelling pass even whenever the other team had the ball. He was yelling pass whenever he was miles away from the action. And he was yelling pass even whenever he had the ball. And he was running with the ball going, "Pass, pass, pass!" And so I looked at him and I said, "Why are you yelling pass?" And he looked up at me and he said, "Miss Amber, I do not know what it means. I only know it is a soccer word." You know, sometimes I hear organizations sound a little bit like my friend, yelling, "AI, automation, machine learning, we got this." Because we know that these are really good words, that they can lead to really big goals. But if we're in the wrong position, we're miles away from the action, or even if we have the ball and we don't know in which direction we're going, then saying these words is not only ineffective, it's actually detrimental to our overall communication within the team. But if we first take the time to truly understand building up our competence and our confidence, we understand both the opportunities and the limitations. We take a few of these tools, we try them, and we apply them into our workplace. And friends, we're going to be in a position to yell pass, to receive the ball, to move forward, and to score some really big goals. So I do encourage you to take some of these tools and apply them and score some really big goals. So I did put my information here in the chat. I do post pretty regularly about different tools and things that we're learning about different ways to use AI in your HR life and in your administrative roles. So again, good questions here. I love the questions that have come in. Before we go, I want to build upon this final thing here. So you can see here, look at this, it's pretty good, right? It has topic, learning objective, estimated time allotment, and key takeaways. This is, oh, it's a competitive landscape, all right, nice, looks good. And it shows the different learning objectives. Now, let's say I want to see the source here. So if I uploaded a lot of documents, I'd see where this was coming from. So let's say I don't like this, right? Then I can say, oops. So then I can say, tell me, give an analysis and a recommendation based on the data above about which learning platform we should use for our new manager program, right? So then it's not only going to create the steps, create the data, or sorry, create the Excel spreadsheet, it's also going to help me give an analysis as well. I don't know, Shelley, if you could give me some feedback if that answers your question on how to do that. That's a very, very short answer. And it actually looks like Shelley has stepped out. So I think that's it.